Welcome back, real estate investors. Today we have Tony Torres back to talk with us about a very important demographic feature, population growth. Welcome, Tony. Great to see you.
Hey, George. How's it going? Always good to be back. Hope you're doing
Awesome.
well.
Yeah. Doing well. How are you today?
Doing well. Just got settled up here. It's been a good week. Met with some investors, met with a property manager last week that is a big player here in the city and in this area, and just really building relationships up here, getting to know the market as boots on the ground, real boots on the ground, as I might say.
Exciting.
Yes, very much so. So, I mean, as we talk today, I'm really excited to talk about one of the biggest indicators as to where investors are looking from a metric standpoint as to what indicates a good market. And we think of all kinds of things as cap rates. We think of things such as crime rates, neighborhood, location. But one of the things that I look at really as important is population growth. So I wanted to take a look at two MSAs, and I think I sent you something earlier, George, that has two graphs on it. Are you able to pull that up?
Yeah. Do you want to share your screen?
I can do that. That works just fine. Let me pull mine up.
Yeah, some great Fred data. I love Fred. Great place to find out about anything going on in the American economic scene.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Okay, so what we have here is we came to Fred. Anyone can use this, obviously. This is the St. Louis Federal Reserve. And you can get all kinds of data from population growth to economic growth. Anything that you can think of, you can go find it here. I like to look at it just from a high level view, really high altitude, 10,000 feet, just to see what the market is doing over the past 10 years, typically. But what's really interesting about the market that we've been in here lately is you can look at it from the past 5 years and get nearly an identical picture because growth is so high. And in these MSAs like Charlotte, Concord, Gastonia, this entire MSA is just kicking rear. So what we see here is we're seeing a population growth here of about 9.1% over the past 5 years. So, or actually the past 7 years, if we count the first quarter of 2022. But over the past 5-6 years, we're seeing about 9.1% between 2015 and 2020. So we compare that to Greenville, which has roughly 1 million less people in it, in the Greenville County as a whole. Greenville proper, downtown area, has about 75,000. Greenville County itself has upwards of 500,000. So the populations are vastly different and the size of them are vastly different. But what's pretty interesting and really encouraging to me is this population increase in the same 5-year time span. We're seeing a 10% increase. If we look right here, we see that we get from, pull this up. Oh man, pulled it, didn't bring it back. Pull this up for us. Hold on here, George. So if we look this up, we can go, nope, that's not the right one. And also this is showing you how you can use Fred to get what it is that you're looking for. So right here we see that in 2015, population was 491,000 or so. Then we come up to just 2020, just 5 years later, we're up to 532,000. It's representing about a 10% increase in population over 5 years. So if you take that all the way from where we were in 2010 to 2015, we had an increase of 40,000 people. When we get to 2020, we have an increase of roughly about the same. So we're seeing over the past 10 years, roughly about a 10% increase, which is really encouraging to me. That's one thing I like to look for, especially in new markets. That's really not as distorted. It's really just showing the true movement and migration to the market as a whole, not just these core areas like a Charlotte, like a Dallas. Still there, George?
Oh yeah, just listening. So quite a bit of population increase. Looks like double over 20 years.
Yes, yes, and that's huge. And we're also seeing, just to show some confidence in that. As I was telling you earlier, George, I live in an area called Simpsonville, South Carolina, which is just south of the Greenville proper area. And within a 1/10 of a mile of me, a 1/10 of a mile radius, we have 5 different multifamily assets that are getting built right now. They're all 300 unit plus. So that just shows you the migration and the population growth just in this area. Now, this isn't counting Greer and downtown Greenville and Anderson and all these other places around the Greenville area. This is just talking about Simpsonville right here. That's 1,500 plus units just going up within a 1/10 of a mile. So if this is any indicator as to what we're going to see in this area and to give investors confidence of the growth in this area, we're seeing a double over the past 10 years. And that's exciting for me. And really understanding where these pockets are growing is going to be huge for investor confidence going forward.
Excellent point.
So Greenville County, this is the entire Greenville MSA. It includes Simpsonville and everywhere that's obviously within the county. And what we're seeing, like I said, is we're seeing a 10% increase in population just over the past 5 year. But we also see that same 10% increase from 2010 to 2015. So we're seeing a doubling nearly just a 10% growth over the past 10 years, which is encouraging. That's what I look at, is really, I want to see that 10% growth in a market over a long period of time, not just a spike. Now, if we scroll back up, you'll see the Charlotte graph. So you see a spike in here from 2009 to 2010. I mean, it jumps, a good almost 1 million people, over 500,000 people it jumps. But we also see in the same time period that it is tracking the same with Greenville. So what does that tell you? That tells you that people are relocating to smaller MSAs like Greenville over the big core MSAs like Charlotte. That's giving, confidence to the growth in this area, to what we can forecast for the future. That on a percentage basis, the rates are nearly identical. Actually, Greenville is outpacing Charlotte, because Greenville's at 9.8% to be exact, and Charlotte is at 9.1.
And to be clear, you're speaking over the last 5 years.
I'm speaking over the last 5 years. Yes. Yeah. Yep. I'm speaking just over the last 5 years. And the reason I did that was because when I look at Charlotte compared to the last 10 years, according to this data, you have this huge spike that's almost 1 million people in a year. So that adds, we don't see that in Greenville. So to be fair to the city and to this MSA, comparatively speaking, this right here, this spike would completely obliterate the data.
Yeah. Any ideas what's behind that? That's pretty amazing.
I think, are you speaking in terms of Charlotte, or?
Yeah, in terms of Charlotte. So it looks like we got about 500,000 people migrating in within a year, and that's got to be, close to 30% increase.
Yes, I would say it's likely because, a ton of jobs moved there. A ton of the financial sectors moved there.
Right.
I know that, Wells Fargo was in there, Bank of America, they had a huge presence there. And then a lot of manufacturing moved to that area as well. I just think that is a time when Charlotte boomed, And there's other people within our network that can speak better to that actually live in the Charlotte area that will be better speakers
Right.
to that. But I really think that it's because a lot of financial industries moved here and a lot of different businesses moved into the Charlotte area for tax reasons, for affordability. Charlotte was just a good metro to be in because it was one of the core metros of this region. Where Greenville, we have population growth, but we also have economic growth, but it's more of a steady incline, which is what I typically like to see. We have employers here. We have Michelin, we have BMW that are in this area. We have two major universities with Furman and Clemson. And so we have reason for people to move here. And another reason that is ideal to live here is its affordability and its walkability, I guess you could say. The ability to get outdoors. It's an ideal place to raise a family. It's an ideal place to live. There's a lot of nature here. There's just a lot that is inviting to this area.
Yeah, love it. A lot of great things. Obviously, people all moving out to the Sun Belt.
Absolutely. And I actually I had a good conversation with Arn Cinedelli yesterday. We were talking about, just assets in this area, just, high level view. And what a big misconception is, and this is a topic that we'll cover later in another episode, but what a big misconception is that when you have areas that don't have as high a population as these core MSAs, like a Dallas, like a Charlotte, that assets are going to be cheaper. Well, that's not the case. Stuff here trades for 170, 180 a door. It's just as competitive. There's just not as much of them. So as it's getting built out, as I alluded to earlier, we have 5 assets just that are encircling me, right, in a 1/10 of a mile radius, that all have 300 unit plus doors, all A-class stuff. So that's 1,500 unit plus, assets here that are all right here with me. So it's growing here. It's there's a lot to be excited about. It's a unique area, but assets still trade at a high value, and it's still just as competitive here as well.
All right, cool. Well, where else do you want to go with this today, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I really like to keep it short and sweet. I want to add, value to investors as to why this is an attractive area, and really make, every episode about one unique thing.
Cool.
Population growth will be a good spot for this. Do you have any questions for me, George?
Gosh, always questions. But I'm always looking for more insight as to what's driving this. I mean, I feel like people are just sick and tired of lockdowns up north. They're sick and tired of all the business regulations. You got jobs down there. And of course, everybody loves the weather in the South. So anything that I can do to track how things are changing. I know we've seen a lot of people moving out to the country. That's another thing that could be to some degree driving this. Now, let's see, Greenville itself, I think you wanted to say earlier that it was, what is the population? Is it 75,000 currently?
So within the Greenville proper, within the city limits, you have about 70 to 75,000 people within there. Now, the Greenville County, which is a rather large county, has about 530 to 550,000 people. So, that expanse is massive. That goes out from the actual, downtown area to the entire county itself. That's a huge expanse, where other cities, you have a rather large downtown, but it's not as expansive the further out you go. Let me look up something really quick. I'm going to look up new business.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how long these COVID-induced trends of people wanting to move out to the country will continue. Of course, we're maybe only beginning to get to see that. It looks like you do have some 2020 data there. And that's really just the beginning of the reorganization. It'd be great to come back next year and see the 2021 or 2022 data and see just how many people have continued to follow that trend.
Absolutely. What I'm doing here is I'm looking up the major drivers of employment All right, George. So one thing I told you I was going to go find was really what is driving the growth here in the Greenville market. And what we look for also with population is who is employing this population. So with the work from home movement being huge, that is obviously a factor as to what is driving some of it. People want to live here. It's a little bit more affordable than cities like Charlotte, even Charleston. It's just or even Atlanta for that matter. It's just a little bit easier to justify living here. But also what's growing here in this area are really four different industries. So one of them is healthcare, and that's not on this list. That is really growing. Prisma Health is huge here, and it is they're always growing, always expanding, building a new campus every so often, and really growing in research. Manufacturing we alluded to before, as we have GE Energy, Michelin, BMW, Fluor, and many others that are really prevalent and growing as well in this area. Distribution and logistics, CBRE put out a report that industrial was going to be one of the biggest asset classes that's going to be moving into Greenville and really potent in this area. Well, that's going to help out the distribution and logistics industry because of the amount of freight and cargo that goes through this area. Greenville is in a very, very strategic location. It's about 2 hours north of Atlanta and Augusta. It's about 2 to 3 hours south of Greensboro, about 2 to 3 hours southwest of Charlotte. And it's also, about an hour and a half away from Columbia as well. So we're not too far from these MSAs, which makes it a really strategic area, which is also going to bring a lot of jobs and that population growth that couples with those jobs. The last area that I wanted to talk about was technology. We talked about the work from home movement, how these are a lot in tech companies, whether it be on the SaaS side of sales or whether it's in software development or any kind of tech as it might be. Well, technology is also growing organically here, as we have, companies like Merit Technologies, NTT Data, Hitachi, and IBM all have presence here in the Greenville area. So this is also increasing jobs in this area, which is coinciding with that, increasing the population in this area. So these 3 or 4 industries, coupled with financial services, we have a huge financial presence in the area with Bank of America, TD Bank, Fifth Third Bank, and Truist are all here. And these are all growing, as well as local institutions. So it's really these 4 areas that are driving the growth in the city and the MSA as a whole.
Awesome. Good information. So I guess we'll probably take this as a good point to break it off and look forward to getting back together next week for some more great commercial real estate chatting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, George. It's always great talking to you.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony.
See ya.